So we've got our basic killing room set up, and now we want to add some more of the advanced features to make it a little bit nicer. So one of the first things that you're going to want to add is, as you've noticed with your spawner, you're probably tired of having to go inside the spawn room to turn it on and off and get attacked by all the monsters. So instead of just putting a lever on this or using the redstone control here to turn it on and off, what you can do is set this to either active with signal or active without signal in the interface here. And then you can run a redstone conduit. If you use these Ender IO ones, you can actually put them in the same block space with the RF power going in. And then we're going to run that up here to this wireless receiver. And then we have a wireless transmitter down here that's coupled to that receiver. And then whenever we flip this switch here, it sends a redstone signal to that transmitter, which goes to this receiver, and then gets pushed through this redstone line here down to the spawner and turns it on. So let me flip that back off real quick. So to craft those, you just need to get one of these wireless transmitters and a wireless receiver. So, oops. So they're just some stone slabs, a tool rod, obsidian tool rod or stick, redstone, and one of these wireless transceivers, which is again an obsidian stick and one of these are ether pearls, and those are just some dust and ender pearls. And then the receiver is very similar. It's same basic shape here, and then you have this dish instead, which is the transceiver with a stone bowl, which is just like a bucket but out of smooth stone. So once you make both of those, when you put them down here, if you right click on it, it'll come up with this interface, and this just lets you choose which channel you're transmitting on. So I have these both set to channel 1, and if you want you can name the channel. So I named this one Wither Skeletons. That way if somebody else puts one of these down and they want to use the same frequency, whenever they're going through to pick their own frequency for some other purpose, they go to 1, they see, oh, that's already assigned to Wither Skeletons, I should probably use a different number. And there's like 5,000 channels or something, so. Set this back. Oh, and if you're on a different channel, you can just, I think you can, yeah, click on the name and it automatically sets it. So yeah, that's extremely convenient. And then yeah, for these Ender IO conduits, the redstone conduit is just this redstone alloy, which you make in an alloy smelter with redstone and silicon, and you get silicon from pulverizing sand. And then when you put them down, if you place any of the other Ender IO conduits in the same block space, they'll share that block space. So here I'm adding the RF power conduits to that same block. And these ones are pretty similar. It's some energetic alloy in this conduit binder. And conduit binder is smelted, this gravel, sand, and clay. Yeah, so then that's just what I've done here. So I just put a vertical column exactly like that with these redstone and RF power conduits here. And for the power conduits, there's 3 different ones. The basic one is only 640 RF per tick, then it goes up to 5,120, and then the highest one is 2,480. So for this machine, you'll want to get at least the middle one, which is the one I showed the recipe for. If you want, you can make the fancier ones where they use vibrant alloy instead. But you only need the middle ones to reach the 3,000 RF that the thing takes. And then once you've got them hooked up, if you want to configure them, these ones will just work out of the box for what we're doing with it. But you can also right-click on where the conduit meets whatever object it's connected to, and you can tell it whether you want it to input or pull out power. You can switch it, extract, input, whatever, and you can tell it whether it's on with redstone, and you can also have multiple channels of energy being transmitted within the same cable. So you can have stuff being, maybe this one's going to transmit on red, and this one's going to transmit power on green, and then you have like 2 different machines that are pulling in power on, one's on red, one's on green. So there's a lot of customization options, and these cables are really, really nice. You can also use a wrench. So let's say I had 2 cables running next to each other and I wanted to extend this one out this way and this went out this way, but I didn't want them to go together, you can just right click with a wrench and it'll disconnect them. Or if you want to reconnect them, you just right click with the wrench again, and I believe sneak right click will pick up the conduit. And then these are the Ender.io version of the fluid conduit. So they're basically the same thing, but they transmit fluids. So in this case, I'm transmitting the lava out of this ender tank, and they have the same customization options here for redstone and signals and everything. And you can also whitelist or blacklist certain liquids. So I could set this to whitelist lava, and then if there were some other liquid in this tank for some reason, it would still only try to pull lava out because I had whitelisted lava. And then down here, for the vacuum hopper, whenever you configure it, you can just right click it with a wrench, and this will let you set which face it's outputting the XP on. So I have it set here on the right hand side to put the XP out into this obelisk. You just left click on the face that you want to turn it on for, and you can hold right click to rotate this if you can't see the face you want to customize. And then when you go to this other tab, that's the item outputs, so that's this blue one here, and we have it coming out the front face into this chest. So what I have set up here, when you have a skeleton farm like this, they always have a lot of garbage that gets put into your chest. So, for example, half-broken bows and stone swords and all these different armor pieces. So what I have set up here is this trash can from Extra Utilities. It's just like some stone to craft it. You can look it up in NEI. But any item that goes into this trash can gets instantly deleted, and there's no way to get it back. So when you set this up, you need to be extremely careful that you only put things into trash cans that you actually want to destroy. And with a vacuum hopper, it's a little bit extra dangerous, because if I throw an item on the ground, that vacuum hopper is going to suck it up. So I just threw that diamond spike on the ground, it sucked it up and put it in this chest. So in order to prevent this from accidentally destroying important items, I have this set up with a servo here on this thermodynamics item duct, and the servos are set for whitelist, and I'm ignoring metadata because these are going to be a lot of half-broken items, and you want it to pull the item out no matter whether it's full or 10% durability or half. So we set this to ignore metadata, and I think you need at least a hardened servo for that, or you can go up to Signalum or Resonant or whatever. And you want it to be on whitelist because you don't want it to pull random items. You want it to only pull stuff that you know is junk to put in the trash can. So when you set this up, make sure you have this all configured before you put the trash can down. And if you're going to run any pipes adjacent to it, so like here, when I first put this pipe down, it was connected to the trash can, so anything that pulled out here would go into that trash can. So just be really careful when you're placing pipes adjacent to trash cans that you don't let anything accidentally go in there that you wouldn't want to. And I have two different pipes here because you actually get so many different junk items. There's only 12 slots here for filtering, and there's more than 12 junk items that come out of skeletons, so I have two different servos. I think this is all of them, and I think you can just drag them out of NEI like this and just place them in this filter, even if you don't have the item on hand. So it's all the leather armors, the golden armors, stone swords, bows, and iron armor. And then on the front face here, I have this set up for a whitelist as well. You could just put this on blacklist and let it suck everything else out and have it blacklist like these same items. But instead I decided to go with a whitelist. And then this is pulling all the items out of this chest that are on the whitelist and putting them into this storage drawer system over here. So when you have a drawer set up, you could have these item ducts run into each individual drawer like this, but we don't really want to do that. It's better to have it just go into one of these drawer controller blocks, and they're pretty easy to make. It's just a drawer, some stone, a diamond, and some redstone comparators. And any item that goes into this drawer controller gets automatically deposited anywhere on this wall of drawers, and it'll automatically put it in a drawer if it's an item type that's already in a drawer, and if it's not already in a drawer, it'll create a new one. So if I were to put like these diamond spikes through this pipe here, it would just shove them into an empty spot like that. And you can also use this drawer key that's just made with like some gold. you can lock these drawers. So if I lock this, it'll always have wither skeletons here. So even if I took all the skulls out, this drawer would still be assigned to wither skeleton skulls. And you can also right-click this drawer controller, and it'll lock the whole wall. If every slot on the wall is locked and a new item tries to come in, it won't have a slot to go in, and it'll probably just like fall out on the ground. So just be mindful that you need to have like some additional empty drawers that aren't locked if you want new item types to be able to go in. And if you don't want new item types to go in, you can handle that with like your filters on your servos, so that you're not trying to input stuff you don't want in your storage system. So here I have this servo set up for a whitelist. Right now it's only whitelisting the sloth shards, the bones, and the wither skeleton skulls. So let's say we want to put some more of these items into our storage wall, so we grab some of this sulfur. Go ahead and whitelist the sulfur, and here in a second you'll see the sulfur pop up on that wall. I used some dense item ducts, which are very low tier item ducts, so they pull items really slowly. So there it goes. There's the sulfur. And then you can do the same thing with all these other item types. You can grab your heart and some necrotic bones and the skeleton skull. And you'll see that like I put those other random items in there and they're not whitelisted, so they're just staying in this chest, which is a pretty safe way to handle it, because if somebody drops some random item accidentally into your spawner room and it gets sucked in this vacuum hopper, it'll just sit here in this buffer chest and they'll be able to retrieve it without it getting shoved some random spot in a trash can or your storage drawer or anything like that. So go ahead and do the last couple items here. Oops, put skeleton in twice. Yeah, so you'll see it now it'll like automatically pull all that stuff, and then I have these random items that I chucked in there, and they're just sitting in here now. So now whenever we turn this on, it'll automatically sort all these items into the storage drawer wall, which is extremely convenient. And you can do this same thing with like your quarry. You can just put down one of these drawer controllers and input all the items into the controller, and then you just build a massive wall. And this wall can be up to 12 blocks in every direction, or left, right, and up. So this wall can be 300 blocks total. So it'd be 25 wide with the drawer controller in the center block, 12 on each side, and then the one column here in the middle, and then 12 blocks tall. So that gives you 299 drawers once you subtract the one block for the controller. And then on your obelisk here, so right now we're outputting the liquid XP into this experience obelisk. You can also use, you could just put an ender tank there instead, and it would just fill up with the XP juice like that. Or you can even pull out of this with a fluid conduit. Let's see, where's a fluid one? Let's get the ender fluid conduit. So these are those nice Ender IO conduits again. So if you put this on insert here, then it starts pulling all the XP out of this obelisk. And it's not always active. So yeah, it's just pulling all the XP out of this obelisk and shoving it into this Ender tank now. And you can pipe that into other systems or wherever you might need it. So I think that pretty much covers all of the fancy stuff. So if you set all that stuff up, then now you have this nice remote way to turn on and off your system. You got these nice compact cables that don't take up excess space, and you've got a way to sort all your items. And you can use a lot of different systems to sort your items. This is just the one that I know that a lot of people are familiar with thermodynamics piping, but you could use logistics pipes or any number of different methods for moving your items around. So have fun.